Welcome to the next section of this Excel 101 course. During this section, we're going to be taking a look at printing. Now, printing may not seem like a big deal to you, file, print, or a single button press, but there are several options that we can get into to really make our document more presentable with print setup options. So let's take a look at first how you can get into print preview and see what your document looks like right now by default before we touch any of the options. Let's see what it looks like. So to get into print preview, I'm going to go up to my file tab, top left corner of my screen. This takes me into that backstage view that we kind of got a quick peek at way back when in an earlier lecture. Now I'm going to go down to print. In 2013, as well as 2010 and 2016, the latest release, print preview is built right into the backstage view. If you're on 2007, you go down to print, this actually still opens up another window like it did in all the earlier versions of Excel. But here I am inside of print preview, and I can see my document, what it will look like if I were to print it right now. And I can identify several things that I'd like to fix about this document. Right now it's pretty small. My document's in portrait mode, so maybe I want to think about changing the orientation of this page to be able to get my document larger, because it's kind of wider than it is tall, right? So by flipping the page, putting it on its side, I have some wider space that I can start to work with. Let's see, the margins. Maybe I want to start messing around with the margins and make those wider. I want to add a header footer to this page. You know, there's various considerations that we can have as we get this document ready to be printed. I don't want to do it just default like this. Maybe I want to put the spreadsheet on its own page and the chart on its own page. Make them nice and big and isolate the two bits of information on their respective pages. So we're going to take a look at these features and many more within our print setup options. So get ready. Let's take a look at these options. So we're going to start out our print discussion by taking a look at three common features of printing. We're going to look at orientation, we're going to look at scaling, and we're going to look at the margins. So let's take a look. And I kind of hinted at these earlier in the previous lecture, but let's see them in action here. So first, the orientation. Right now I'm looking at my page here in print preview, and I'm looking at it in portrait mode, up and down. Right, I got an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I got 11 inches worth of space, minus the margins, so give and take a couple of inches perhaps. But an up and down vertical page here. Now, my document, my spreadsheet, is naturally, it's wider than it is tall. Just the way I'm looking at it right now. So I believe to give me maximum space and the best real estate or use of that real estate, I think by changing it to landscape, I'm going to have a better way of enlarging this document and making it more presentable. Same deal with the chart. The chart is wider than it is tall. So let's try changing the orientation. So just a reminder, I'm going to hit the back arrow here, take me back to my main interface of Excel. To get into print preview, I went to File, I went down to Print. That's simple. I'm now in print preview. Now on the left-hand side of print preview, I've got a couple of the more common features that people work with as they go to print a document. One of them is the orientation. And I can see that I'm currently in portrait mode. So I'm just going to change that. We'll go from portrait to landscape. And right away, a very nice feature here inside of 2013, as well as 2010 and later releases, right away I get to see the effect take place. And as you can see, I've now created much more real estate that I can start to consume within my document, scaling that thing much larger so it becomes more readable. So there's your orientation, portrait or landscape. I like landscape for this document right here. If I was working on a list, something that's really tall, then perhaps portrait mode would be a better suit for that type of document. So now let's talk about scaling. I want to bump this thing up. Right now I got 100% scaling, but it's taking up roughly half the page. So I can bump that up quite a bit. So back into the options on the left-hand side. Down at the bottom I got scaling, and currently I can see that it's currently no scaling. I'll give that a click. And I've got a few preset options here. Fit sheet on one page, fit all columns on one page, fit all rows on one page. These three options here are about scaling down. You've got a large document, lots of records. I want to get all of that to fit on a single page. Then great, you can use those and Excel will work its magic and fit them on there for you. Or at least do its very best without getting too small in font, right? Now, all about scaling down. I can't scale up using those options. So what I am going to do is go down to custom scaling options. This will open up the old page setup window. This has been around for years inside of Excel. And inside of here, I've got a lot of the repeat commands that I'm seeing out in the main print interface. But in here, I got scaling, adjust to, currently it's at 100%. Let's try bumping that up. I'm going to go to, let's try 160%. See how that fits. I'm going to hit OK. Look at that. That looks pretty good. I got pretty close to that right-hand side, that arrow, right? Maybe I want to get rid of that arrow. Maybe just highlight that in red. That way I can get even more space there. But it's a choice. It's a preference that we get to make as we go print the document. What's going to best communicate? You know, looking at it again, a second glance here, I think it's actually pretty nice having that arrow out there. All that white space, it creates a lot of contrast and really draws attention to that specific area. So I think maybe I'll leave it. I could maybe bump it up maybe like 3, 4, 5 more %, but I think I'm going to leave it as is. So much larger, taking advantage, full advantage of that landscape page that I now have. Now I've got another issue inside of there. I got my chart. And right now that chart is broken between 2 pages. I can actually see down here below I've actually got 3 pages. Let's see why I got 3 pages. I'm going to hit the arrow down here. There's the rest of my chart. Oh, that arrow actually did go off the side of the page. We'll see how to fix that here in a moment. I could go back in and scale it down, maybe a %, get that arrow back on to its own page. It's kind of a waste right there, right? But we're going to see a different way to do that. I don't want to do it in here because I actually like the size, but I do want to trim that arrow a little bit. So we've got the orientation, we got scaling. Let's try the margins. So there's a few different ways that we can work with margins. Take a look. I can go back down into my options here, and they do have some margin options. Right now it says normal margins. Left and right is almost 3/4 of an inch each. So roughly 1.5 inches is being taken up by left and right margins. And I can get into there, and they do have some preset margins I can work with. Let's see, wide and narrow. I can go to custom. This will open up the previous window where we saw the page tab, and I changed the scaling. But now I'm on the margins tab, and I can numerically adjust my margins. Now I never found much success getting in here and changing the margins, hitting OK, looking, that didn't work. Get back in this interface, maybe monkey around a little bit more with the margins, go out and look at it. It's kind of a back and forth game, adjusting numerically and taking a look. Back and forth. Well, you know what? Microsoft prepared a more interactive method for us to work with the margins. Take a look. In the lower right corner of my print preview window, I've got 2 buttons. The first one down there is my margins. I'll give that a click. Now I'm going to go back to the first page. There we go. And you can see I've got these vertical and horizontal lines here, and they represent my margins. So I'm going to grab this left-hand side, and I'll tug on it a little bit. Not too much. I don't want to get too close to the edge of the page. Most printers, kind of your standard desktop printers that you have sitting next to your computer at your home or in the office, can't really print that close to the edge of the page. So now I've created a little bit more space, but you know what? I'm still getting that 3rd page in there. Ooh, it's a little bit less. I got to take a closer look at why I'm getting that there, because I can definitely see that I'm getting more space in there. Oh, you know what? I got these extra little tick marks at the top of the screen. These represent your column widths. Remember the lecture about changing the widths of your columns? These little tick marks right here represent those column widths. So I'm going to try adjusting this one here. Let's pull that out just a little bit. Ooh, I got some more of that arrow. I'm still getting the 3rd page. Let's look at that 3rd page. Still barely there. I'm going to try pulling that just a little bit more because I got more real estate in there. I got some more space. Let's pull some more. All right, so it's still got that arrow. It must be growing with the slot, with the cell itself, with the column. So we're gonna have to take a look at where else we can fix that. We'll see that here shortly. So inside of here, we got orientation, we got scaling, documents much larger in that landscape mode, and we got some margins that we can mess around with as well. So try this out. Open up your monthly budget, go to print preview. Remember, it's file, print, jump into here. Change your orientation, change your scaling, get that document to look good. We're going to look at a few more options here, like fixing that arrow and fixing that chart. So we've been looking at print options, and there's still a few more things that I want to fix here. We were looking at that arrow, which is causing the 3rd page there, just a little bit of a smidge of the tail end of that arrow is bleeding into a 3rd page, which is otherwise blank. And then I got my chart. I'm cutting off that chart. It's going into page 2. What I'd really like to do is have my spreadsheet on page 1 and the chart all by itself fully on page 2. So let's take a look at how we can adjust this. We've seen some options in Print Preview, but I'm going to take us into another view. This is called the Page Layout view. I'm going to hit the back arrow here to take me back to the main Excel interface. I'm going to go up to my View tab, top of the screen, and on the far left we've got our workbook views. The most standard view, the one that you're going to spend most of your time in and do all your work, is called the normal view, and that's what you're looking at right now. It looks like Excel. Well, we've got a new one. This was actually introduced in the 2010 edition of Excel called Page Layout. And what Page Layout does is it treats the document more like a Word document where you can actually see literally the pages. But the nice thing here is you can still manipulate your data and the structure and the layout on individual pages. Watch this. So View to Page Layout. So this changes my view, and I'm going to zoom out so we can really see this here. You can see that I've got individual pages. There's page 1, there's page 2, and that little guy right there, page 3. So I need to fix that first. I'm going to go fix that little arrow. We'll select my arrow here, and I'm just going to pull that in. Get that. Oh, I think I might be oh, there we go. All right, good. So I've pulled that over. We should no longer be printing on that page there. And how about my chart? I want to put that all by itself. So I'm just going to grab that and pull it down to this page here. You know, and since I can see what the page actually looks like, I'm going to center that right on the page. There we go. All right. Now I'm still seeing this page here. Let's go take a look inside of our Print Preview. See if I'm still getting a third page. So I'm going to go back to File and Print. And let's see. Oh, you know what? I got my chart selected still. You notice that because I have my chart selected, it's only showing me one page down here below. So I got to go back out. I'm going to click someplace empty just to deselect that chart. And then I'm going to go back to File, back to Print. Look at that. I'm still getting that third page. Oh, there it is. Ooh, there's still just a little bit of a smidge of red inside there. Let's go fix that. I'm going to hit my back arrow. Let's get back out here. This might be just an artifact inside of my Excel. There it goes. Had to shrink it up just a little bit more, and that third page is no longer active. All right, must be just too close to that margin there. So now I've got 2 pages, and just adjusting this all through the Page Layout view. I don't have to worry about scaling. I don't have to worry about trying to monkey around with the margins anymore. Jump into Page Layout and make your adjustments there. They're live adjustments. We get to see what the literal document looks like as it's going to be printed on its individual pages. A very active, very accessible environment. So try this out. Jump up to your View tab, go into Page Layout, adjust your document, make it look good on the page. When you're all done, you can go right back to normal view, back into just standard Excel. So I want to take a look at the header and footer of your printed document. Think about the header footer for a moment. You receive a document, whether it's Excel, Word, whatever it is. A lot of times, in the very top portion of your page, roughly half an inch or so, you get to see some additional information. Maybe the title of the document, maybe a disclaimer. The footer, a lot of times you see a page number, a date, maybe it says confidential down there. We got some additional information that I want to have show up at the very top or bottom of the page and have this happen for potentially every page in the document. This is the header and footer. Inside of Excel, there are multiple ways to activate and work with the header and footer. Here, I'm going to go back to Page Layout view because Microsoft has built the header and footer directly into Page Layout, and it's very accessible and very interactive. Take a look. I'm going to go right back to View and back into Page Layout. This is the view that we just got done talking about where you can literally see the pages and make adjustments so that it looks good, page by page. Now to activate the header or the footer, I'm going to do something in the footer. I'm going to go to my page here. This is just page 1 where my spreadsheet's at. And I'm going to click down towards the bottom. You'll see that I got 3 boxes down there. Left aligned, a center, and a right aligned area for my footer information. And up at the top, I've got the same thing, but for my header. Left, center, and right aligned content. So let's say I want to do the page number. And I want the page number to show up in the center of the bottom of each page. So I'm going to click into the middle area here. This is my footer. and it's the center aligned content. Now, as soon as you click into the footer or the header, you get a new tab at the top of your screen, a header footer tools tab called design. And in there you got all the options that you can utilize to drop content into the header or footer. Now, like I said, I want to do page number. So I'm just going to come up here, click on the page number. This drops in a little code. It's called &page. If I click out of the footer, I can now see I got a page number. And if I scroll down, here's page 2, and it says page 2. Let's put something in the header. So I'm going to come up to the header, and maybe on the right-hand side. I'll click into there. And what I'd like to do here, I print this document out, I send it out to my coworkers, or maybe I throw it up on the network drive, onto SharePoint or wherever. The original document perhaps lives someplace else, or maybe the users printed out and they forgot, hey, where did that document live on the network or on SharePoint? Well, a way that we can help ourselves and our coworkers is by adding the path, the location to this document into the header or the footer. Take a look. So I'm currently clicked into the right-hand side of my header, right aligned content. I'm going to go back to design, and inside of the elements section, I'm going to get the file path. So once again, much like the page number, it puts a little code in there, &path, &file, and if I click away, I've now got the path to that file, the literal address. So now if somebody prints this out, they can always reference back, oh yeah, this document's on the C drive and found here, or on the X drive, or on SharePoint, or wherever it's located at. They have that path right there. It's something small, but it's ultimately going to make our documents more accessible. And you've got all sorts of stuff you can put up there. I'll go back to design. We got number of pages, like page 1 of. You've got the date, the time, the file path, the file name, the sheet name. You can put pictures in there. Maybe you got logos you want to put into your header or footer. All sorts of content here to make our documents more presentable, or to provide additional information for each page, like the page number. So try this out. Open up your document, go back to View, Page Layout, activate the header or footer, and try adding some of this content. Give your users that additional information, not just for one page, but it'll show up on each page. Header, top of the page, footer, the bottom. Let's take a look at one more option in regards to printing. Now, in many cases, when you go to print a document, you're going to print the entire thing. The spreadsheet, all of its data, the chart, the entire set of data contained within that worksheet. But there will come a time where you want to print just a specific portion of the document. Like, I only want to print this little spreadsheet right here. My bills, the months, their totals, their percentage, that's it. Well, right now, if I go File to Print, I print out the entire thing. Well, inside of Excel, we have what's called the print area. You set a print area. You literally select the cells that you want to print. You go to Page Layout, Print Area, set the print area, and that's all you'll print when you go to File, Print. Let's take a look. So I only want to print this little spreadsheet. No title, no min-max average count, no chart, that's it. So I'm going to select my little spreadsheet. That's A3 down to F9. There we go. I'm going to go up to Page Layout. I'm going to go to Print Area, and I'm going to set the print area. So I'm going to click away from my little spreadsheet there, and you probably just barely see it on the screen, but probably best to see it down here in the corner. There's a little bit of a darker border that actually goes all the way around my spreadsheet, and that's just denoting that this is the print area. So now I'll go to File, to Print, and you can see that I'm only printing that little spreadsheet. No title, no min-max average count, no chart, it's just the spreadsheet. Set your print area. Now, what if you want to get back to the entire spreadsheet again? I want to print everything. Well, you set the print area. You can also clear it. You can get rid of the print area. Watch this. Hit my back arrow, take me back to Excel. I'm going to go to Page Layout, back to Print Area, where I set it earlier, and now I'll clear it. Clear the print area, and if I go back to File, back to Print, I'm now printing the entire worksheet once again, all 2 pages of it. Oops, 2 pages. Now, we saw by accident earlier, if you select a chart and you go File, Print, you print just that chart. It's kind of like setting a print area, but you're just selecting the chart, so you only get that by default. So try this out. Set your own print area. Maybe you just want a specific month or a couple of months or specific bills Or maybe you just want the chart. Select the chart, print that. Select your data, set the print area, print that. Don't forget to go back in and clear it though. When you're all done, you've printed what you wanted, go clear the print area. You'll be back to square one again.